Hello friends, welcome to Akulmach Live. I am your host. My name is Chandrakant. Just in case if you don't remember, I meet you every day, and today we are discussing about the data centers. Can we put data centers in space? There are a lot of pros and cons. There are a lot of requirement, future expansion policies, and therefore we will discuss all of these pros and cons one by one. Before we start our discussion, I must tell you that we are live, our lines are open. Just in case if you want to join this discussion, this live stream with your mic and camera, you can. You can join, and the process of joining the discussion is given in the description below. Kindly read through. All lines are open. I'm waiting for you to join back. All right, let's go back to our discussion, which is about can we put data centers into space? So where is the need for the data center? Why do we need data centers? You see, what happens is the data is value of data, or the data requirement, data quantity is growing day by day. And when we look at the data centers, whenever there is a real estate project, the builder actually build enough real estate for storing the data. And especially with a lot of AI coming into the fray, AI basically thrive on the data which is available. So when there is data available, there is real estate which is getting involved. There is a lot of huge construction projects which are being built because we need storage for the data. So when it comes to expansion with regard to data, we would need a lot of data. We need a lot of data centers in order to fulfill our requirements. Also, as we progress into the future, AI is going to come in a big way. AI will also get access to the data that you have, and based on the data availability, AI will be able to answer your questions or do whatever you want AI to do. So what happens is that as the humanity increases, growth happens, the data availability is becoming very critical. Therefore, using the current strategy, we are building huge data centers very close to our urban areas. That means we want to have proximity to the data. However, we are growing, we are running out of living space on earth. At the same time, laying fiber optics is becoming quite expensive, and to build these huge data centers which requires cooling and heating also is a costly affair. So considering this, the space is empty space. We can pretty much put any structure there, and if you put the data center in the lower earth orbit, then the distance to access the data is also not huge. It is a matter of 300 kilometers to only 1000 kilometers. You will get the data directly beamed into your device, directly from the data center into the from the space into your devices. So there will be no need for constructing an expensive data center to hold your data, and also to lay high speed fiber optics cables. That will actually increase the amount of impact on the environment also. So you can avoid all of that if you put data center into this space. We are already putting data centers near urban areas, and we are also trying to take our internet to the space. There are so many companies which are involved in launching their satellites to provide lot of coverage to everybody, so that the GPS can be more effective, the range can be provided. If you move out of urban areas, your mobile should continue to catch the internet. So all of these things are coming. So why not expand those satellites into becoming a full-fledged data center? So going back to the next point is about how we will do it. What are the launch cost? Launch cost is definitely is higher than higher, but look at the latest technologies. Look at how we can use the compression to store more and more data in less and less space. So if we can consider that the cost of launching, which is one-time cost, after that it's very little maintenance that you need to do around the data, it is definitely less than building the data center, overall cost of building the data center, and making sure that the data center has all the cable connectivity and everything. So considering all this, the cost is not as high as you would perceive that to be. It will be much lower than building a physical database, because a lot of other complexities, other real estate related expenses, laying cable, manpower, all of those things will offset. The launch cost will be offsetted by those other maintenance cost and also construction cost. So that is something which are definitely beneficial. At the same time, when we talk about the cost, let's look at the maintenance cost. If you put the data center on Earth, then the data center has to be provided heating and cooling facilities artificially, whereas the space has all these things automatically provided. You can actually put huge solar panel, solar array to power the data center. You don't need to generate any extra power. The sun at a very very low cost will provide the power to the data center to keep it powered. At the same time, space is cool, so you can use certain techniques and mechanism to make sure that the data center does not get overheated. So power problem, heating problem, and cooling issues can be implemented very easily when the data center is put in space. At the same time, when the data is put in space in the form of an array, it will be a lot easier to basically provide worldwide data. The access to the data is worldwide. Same data is provided to everybody on Earth from the space, because all these different data centers who are floating in space on board like a satellite, they will be interconnected to each other, and whenever you have access, you require data, the several copies of the same data can be maintained in different overhead satellites, and therefore providing access to every individual back on Earth access to the data. So these are the very good advantages and disadvantages we have when it comes to data centers. Now let's look at the disadvantages. Disadvantages are, number one, the legal implications. There are certain countries who have their own legal systems. Let's look at the communist countries. They don't allow certain things to they want to basically make sure that certain things which are illegal in their country should not be provided in their country. Similarly, if you look at the Middle East and all that, if you look at China, they don't allow social media, and therefore the moment you land into social media, your most of the social media accounts or platforms cease to work. So in those cases, if there is a worldwide data available and somebody is able to pull the data from space, how the different governments of different countries will ensure that it is as per their legal practices, and therefore what will happen to in case there are some sort of legal breach. So there are implications we need to look at, because once we provide data, we are going with the assumption that this data is good for mankind, and this is a democratization of the data. That means same data is available for everyone without any hesitation. So however, the legal implications will, at the moment, there are different legal systems working in different pockets of the world. So this legal system has to converge to something uniform in order to allow this data to be made available from space at lower cost. We have already discussed that there are a lot of advantages in putting the data center in space. So let's look at what are the other things. The need for data centers in space. Obviously, as we are growing, the data is becoming much more powerful. We want to basically provide services which are augmented reality, which requires a huge bandwidth. We want AI to play a major role in our life, in our society. So AI basically thrive on the internet data. So AI can be very powerful tool. It can handle so many different applications for you without you breaking your head, which will make your life easier. So, however, for AI to work effectively, to basically take role of near human intelligence for you, AI would require a lot of internet data, which is already present. So if we can put the data in space and we can standardize AI, how AI will be used, how the data will be consumed, then it will be a lot easier to maintain the data in space. And especially on Earth, there are space constraints because we need to physically construct the data center. However, in space, there are no constraints of space at all. It's up to mankind to send as many satellites, huge satellites with data center capabilities. So, and all these satellites will get interconnected into an array, so that there are always fail-proof mechanism. If one satellite fails, the data does not go along with the satellite. The copies of the data is maintained, and this is ever growing. As we move into future, the data size will be ever growing. Now there are other advantages. If we set up our colony on the moon, then data center being available in the orbit of Earth, it will be much closer to the moon, and it will provide a much faster communication between Earth and moon. At the same time, the data center will not be affected by the atmosphere of the Earth. So the moon colony will feel a lot closer to Earth because they will have access to the same data that we are accessing on Earth. So it will be a lot easier to set up future data centers closer to the moon, or we can set up once we start setting up the data centers in our orbit, we can then start looking at setting up data center around the sun, in the sun orbit between Earth and Mars, which will also provide availability of information to the future Martian colonies. So I think it's very important to set up the data center in the space rather than restricting data within the confinements of countries or confinement of the Earth's gravity. We can actually put the data centers in space and beyond Earth into interstellar space, and then the availability of data will be a lot easier. AI will be able to use different data in different data centers, provide better communication, provides better processing capabilities. So I think these are the advantages, these are the needs that we have, because of which we need to put the data center in space. Therefore, I think we have discussed all these things. There are several advantages, there are several disadvantages. Of course, there are disadvantages in terms of cost. There are disadvantages in terms of how do we monitor all these things. If there are multiple satellites, how do we monitor? Obviously, the disadvantage is not great. These are all very disadvantages that can be overcome by use of technology. And if we have the AI to manage this whole network also, it will be a lot easier, because AI will do a much more efficient job of managing the satellites, ensuring that there are proper cooling mechanisms in each satellites, and also firewall. There are no breaches, there are no hacking capability, and that can be managed by AI very effectively. So if we use AI itself, not only to provide to mankind other applications, but if we use AI to manage the entire data network in space, then our headache will be much more reduced, because the data is always secure, and there is somebody who's actually ensuring that the data is available at the same time is secure. So we have discussed in our live stream today a lot of advantages and little small disadvantages. We have also discussed the cost implication. The cost of putting data center in space will be much lower than setting up a data center on Earth, because you need manpower to manage physical buildings, laying the cable, then laying the cable to the last mile to your home, etc., etc. It will not be wireless. Once we put the data in space, then we can access internet along with the data through our wireless connectivity wireless connectivity is also increasing day by day as we progress into the future. So multi megabyte per second may be available directly from the space. Right now it is up to 100 Mbps, but it can grow in future. So friends, what do you think about this? Do let me know. And thanks for watching me live. I will catch you again in the next one. Till then, have a nice day and bye for now.